Hey guys, I just figured I'd take the time to kind of go over what it's like to go to your first registered car show and kind of how my experience went with that. So, I've done quite a few of the Cars and Coffees and some of those type of little meet and greet little events. Um, and this year I entered my first actual registered car show. So I figured I'd make a little video on my experience because I was looking up some videos on it too beforehand. Um, So this is my 2011 Chevy Camaro 2SS convertible. This is what I took to it. This is what I actually won an award at. So yeah, kind of how things went down for it. So I've been to other car shows, like say at least as a spectator, and this was one that I had already been to before, previous year, last year, as just a spectator. Kind of a local one, and there was maybe like 75 cars there. So I kind of had an idea of what to expect going into it this year, and I said to my wife, I said, hey, I really want to enter this one this year. So that's what I did. So it costs like $20 to pre-register beforehand, and it's like their fall festival thing, festival and car show. And so I made sure, pre-register, and I kind of knew what I was getting into. So I kind of knew the types of cars that were going to be there, where my car would fit in, that kind of category of things. And if you can go to the show first, like beforehand, then that I found was really helpful. But if not, that's not a big deal either. It's a great way to get out and meet people and have fun. So one of the things to keep in mind with that is obviously you can't be late. They have an early entrance that you can go to be one of the first people in line. I didn't think it was really that necessary. I got there towards the end of the time that you were allowed to get there. And so my car was at the end of one of the rows, but I didn't think it was that big a deal. There was still plenty of people around, and people were still able to go up and view my car. So I didn't think it was too big a deal not being first. But the main thing, you don't want to be late, because then it's kind of awkward, then everyone's looking at you. You're trying to find a place to park, especially if you have an older car, older classic car. Some of those rows were kind of tight, and I did watch one guy in particular do like a 7-point turn trying to get into a spot. I mean, it was a little ridiculous. And then everyone's watching you. But yeah, one of the important things is you want to stay the whole time. There were a handful of cars. I know sometimes these things go on kind of long. Like this one, I want to say was like 4 hours long. If you got there at the beginning, like by the time it opened for the registration for that, you might be there 6 hours, which I mean, that's a whole day. Which I didn't want to, take my whole Saturday to be there. So, like I said, I got there towards the end of the parking time, and I still was there for about 4 hours. But you kind of have to stay there the whole time so that the judges can come around and see your car if they're going to chat with you. And then by the time that they do awards, it's right at the end. And then for them to do, a whole car show drive off, which I thought was pretty neat. But it's a great way to meet people, kind of chit chat about your car, find some interesting information on other people's cars, kind of see just what kind of cars are in your area. Like I said, last year when I just attended it, there was like 75 cars. And so I thought, hey, they had quite a few awards. I wonder if I might be able to win an award. Well, this year they had about double the turnout. So my car is actually listed, I have the little piece of paper here for it, as number 230, but they started at 1. So there was over 130 cars that were registered at this show. So it really went up a lot just within the last year, which I was pretty surprised. Things to keep in mind or to do leading up to the show. So this isn't my daily driver anymore. It is kind of a weekend cruiser for me. I take it out about once or twice a week. But leading up to that show that week, I made sure that I really had high hopes of wanting to win an award. So I went ahead and I washed the car, I waxed the car, I deep cleaned the wheels, I did a full interior detail. I really spent quite a few hours, throughout the week. I did a little bit each night, kind of prepping the car. Um, and then the morning of, I tire shined, all the tires and everything right before going out. Luckily for me, it was only about, a 15 to 20 minute drive to get there. Um, but one thing you want to keep in mind is make sure to bring, your microfiber towels with you, because it was a gravel entrance. So even though you're just going, 5 miles an hour over this gravel entrance, the car got covered in dust. It was fall, and so I then had to wipe everything off, on the car. I brought my the top that goes down over the top. So the tonneau cover. So I got parked, put my top down, put the tonneau cover down, got that all looking nice. Did a re-wipe down of everything, and then kind of just set my chair out and sat down. I brought some snacks and stuff, because sometimes at those festivals, that stuff, like I say, it takes a long time. Even doing a whole walk around of everything else that they had going on there, I still had a lot of downtime. But you can go ahead and do a couple laps, meet some people. And since mine was in the fall, a lot of people had some props and stuff to put out on their cars. So it was early October, so some people had, full Halloween themed cars. A lot of cars had different themes. But just because you have a theme doesn't mean that your car may be nice enough to win an award. So there was some kind of poorly done kind of riced out themes, which obviously didn't win an award, even though it looked like that person may have spent a lot of time doing that theme. It still was kind of poorly executed. You see a lot of the same types of cars, like if this was primarily an American muscle classic car type of show. So I mean, the amount of, let's say, Chevy Novas that were there, for your car to stand out, I mean, I saw a number of the same year, make, model, color, interior, of the same car. And so having a car that stands out a little bit already, or if you modify your car a little bit, don't leave it just completely bone stock. I know my car is pretty much stock, but I did have a lot of people compliment me on at least the paint, things like that. You don't have to have the most expensive, the nicest car, the most unique car in order to win an award or at least be recognized. So that was just a little bit about my experience with it. And it was a lot of fun. And I'll show you guys some of the things here. So when I mentioned props, I know probably a lot of us that have, cars that we like, you might get, a little model of your car. So this is kind of the model of my Camaro that I have here. It's pretty close, and so I had this, on display with the car and everything. Made it look kind of neat. I saw some people had pointed that out, and I saw a handful of other cars that had little models out on it too. I didn't really go with the theme. I just really wanted to make sure to have my car as clean as possible. That's kind of all I was going for. And then as far as the kind of paper that you get, so this, you put it in your windshield. You just want to make sure that everything's legible. And then one of the judges will come around and put stickers on the different papers here. And so I noticed mine had a sticker on it, so I thought, hey, maybe I got a chance. I really wanted to win an award. I went into it thinking this could be really cool. But once I got there and I saw some of the types of cars that were there, I thought, there's no way. I mean, because they did it by different categories. So the categories went by age of the car. So they had like 3 different categories that pretty much went every 25 years increments. And for a lot of the classic cars, that can be really difficult for your car to stand out. Like I said, as far as the amount of Novas that were there, it's going to be really hard. For something like this, I was very surprised because I'd seen even there were some like a 2005, 2009, an S197 Roush Mustang, and you know, it was a Roush Stage 3. It had a supercharger, had the whole body kit. I thought, you know, that was a really nice car, and that guy didn't win an award at all. And so I was pretty thankful and surprised that my car did. You know, something about my car must have stood out just a little bit more than his. But yeah, so this is the award that I had won. You can kind of see it there, giant spark plug. I thought that was pretty neat. And so, you know, this is one of those things that kind of gives you incentive to go ahead and do it again next year. You know, I'm an artist, so I had told them, hey, you know, next year I'd love to make an award for you guys. And so they said that'd be great. So that was kind of, you know, my experience as a first time attendee of an actual registered car show. So I thought it was a great time. It's nice to meet some other people that are real interested in cars. And it's even cooler to get an award like that. So just another thing to put up on the shelf here in the garage and kind of take time to look back and have some good memories with the car. So yeah, hopefully this video you found it helpful. At least moving forward, hopefully next year you went to your first car show. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.